Whoa. Hello and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, where we talk about all the latest United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. Am I getting tired of this? Never. I've had my Red Bull, I'm pumped up, I've had a glass of coffee. We never give in. We keep going. We don't get tired with the transfer window because we've done next to nothing in it and we need to do a lot more. Right, we're going to start off about Kalidou Koulibaly. Now, last night we were talking about the centre-back situation and there has been a little bit of movement from Manchester United, and I want to take it back to the middle of May. Remember the middle of May? There was a numerous decent sources saying that Manchester United really were heavily wanting, that sounds really odd, heavily wanting, like you're carrying a big heavy cow. I want it. But we wanted to sign Koulibaly, and I think United do want to sign Koulibaly. And remember what I said at the start of the transfer window, way back at the start of May. My theory was that Koulibaly was a target for Jose Mourinho back in November, and United, when Mourinho went, kept the interest in Koulibaly because he's one of the world's best centre-backs and wanted to sign him this summer. Now, what appears to have happened with that is, and I sort of know this, is that Manchester United do want to sign Koulibaly, but were put off by the fact that Napoli said he's not for sale. You can't sign a player if they're not for sale. However, the reason we're talking about Koulibaly today is there's two separate stories from Italian sources. One is that Manchester City want to sign Koulibaly. They're not going to get into a race with Harry Maguire for United. They want to go for Koulibaly. £95 million was mentioned. The second source said that Liverpool want Koulibaly. They won't go up to what Napoli want, which is between 95 million and 107 million, which is very, very accurate. Napoli will accept a bid between 95 million and 107 million, but Liverpool don't want to go above 80 million, but they would like Koulibaly because he'd be a great partner for Van Dijk. I mean, imagine Koulibaly and Van Dijk. They ain't conceding any goals next season. But the interesting thing about this is, forget Liverpool, forget Man City. I don't want to go down that crying route of, oh, they're better than us. I can't believe how crap we are. We're going to have Jones and Smalling and they're going to have Koulibaly and bloody Van Dijk. It's ridiculous. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is there's mention in these stories that I think Liverpool or Man City, I forget the story because I'm getting crossed over here, but one of them definitely said that there's been talk with Koulibaly's agent and he's open to the move. Now that's what I said back in May when United were interested in Koulibaly. It's not about whether Napoli say he's going to be there next season. It's not about whether Napoli don't want to sell. If Koulibaly wants to go, that is the gap in the market to push your way through. And we're seeing that with Pogba. United said, Solskjaer said, I see Pogba here next season. United themselves, Pogba's not for sale. What's Pogba done? I want a new challenge. Now, will that be enough to force him out? It's certainly enough to say, come and get me from everybody else. And I think with Koulibaly, that's the interesting thing. And it suddenly got me very excited because, yeah, Ruben Dias is a good signing. Yeah, Harry Maguire's a good signing. Yeah, Issa Diop's a good signing. But there's an element of risk with those players. There isn't an element of risk with Kalidou Koulibaly. The only negative with Koulibaly is that he's going to be 28 at the end of the month. He's a fantastic centre-back. He is one of the world's top 5 centre-backs. He's brilliant. He's good in the air. He would be better than everything we've got, and he'd be better than anything we ever have had at centre-back since Vidic and Ferdinand retired. So he'd be a brilliant centre-back for United. He changed his agent. He signed a new contract back in September, but he changed his agent after that. And there are hints that he wants to go. And if he wants to go, United need to get back in on that deal. Now, the interesting thing with Koulibaly is he's part of the Senegal team. He's just about to play in the African Nations Cup. Can you do business with somebody when they're on there? And of course, even if we do business, he won't be going on the tour. And I think that's a very interesting thing anyway. Where do you stand on that? If you're not on the tour, should we avoid signing somebody? I think that's a bit narrow-minded. I'd like them to be on the tour, but is them being on tour essential? I mean, realistically, would I say, I'd like to sign Issa Diop over Koulibaly because Issa Diop will be on the tour in Australia and everywhere else? No, I want Koulibaly. So let's see what happens with that. But certainly interesting that the door was slammed shut on any deal for Koulibaly, but now we're hearing that he might be open to a move. So if he is, United need to push themselves back to the front. Let's go to Douglas Costa. He is apparently on holiday somewhere, very nice, as many top-class footballers are, lucky people. But he is being mentioned, obviously, with Manchester United for many seasons, actually, but certainly over the last couple. Right winger, very good player. Again, 28, so he's a little bit north of where we want to be. But on his day, unplayable. On other days, crap. That's Douglas Costa for you. He's never really had a consistent vein of form. Certainly, I think he was quite consistent actually when he was playing in Russia. But for Bayern Munich and Juventus, a little bit inconsistent. Like I say, on his day, very good, but hasn't found that consistency. And I think that's because he's not really settled. I think if he settled at a club and was played week in, week out, you'd see the best of him. Would I take him at Manchester United? I think there's better options out there. But having said that, we might not be buying a right winger. We were talking last night, we might be turning bloody Dalot into a right winger, which is just terrifying to me. So, of course, I would take Douglas Costa over that. And obviously, if Pogba goes to Juventus, which apparently Pogba favours a move to Juventus over Real Madrid, which I find odd. I mean, my interpretation is that Pogba definitely wants to go to Real Madrid. But if he wants to go to Juventus, that shows how desperate he is to get out of United, which I think he is. So Douglas Costa is part of the Pogba deal. I'll tell you what, yes, because if it's no right winger or Costa as part of the Pogba deal, yeah, of course there's better right wing options. But if it's no right winger, yeah, I definitely would take him. The interesting thing is Douglas Costa has said, I've got 3 years left on my contract. I want to stay at Juventus. Sarri's a good manager. Let's see what it's all about. But he ain't met Sarri yet. They've not even gone back for pre-season yet. So that fits to me. A lot of people saying, well, we're not getting Douglas Costa then. He said, well, Wan-Bissaka said it in the end of April, early May. I'll be at Crystal Palace next season. Clearly, he's probably not going to be. So, yeah, look, let's see what happens with Douglas Costa. Bruno Fernandes just seems below me, sort of like the closest to me. I want to touch Bruno Fernandes. Not in that way. I just want him to come to Manchester United. I want to grab his name and put it in a Manchester United shirt. But there is always news from Bruno Fernandes. I think the Portuguese press, if they didn't have Bruno Fernandes, they'd all be on holiday. Every day, somebody different. So, Record, Portuguese outlet, they're saying that the agent of Bruno Fernandes is pushing for a move to Manchester United because our offer is the best. Bruno Fernandes is currently on holiday in the Algarve, which is in Portugal, so he's not far away if anything can be done. Again, it's another player on holiday. That is the latest with Bruno Fernandes. I hope we will sign him. I know that he is a priority for United and has been for a long time. But as I said last night, United's transfer window is like the waltzers. It's going round and round and round, different view every day. And I don't know whether they're still pushing the Bruno Fernandes deal. I don't know whether they're playing hardball. I don't know whether they've moved away from it. I don't know. I hope we're going to get that deal done. I really, really do. A couple of other things. Declan Rice. Something coming out yesterday that Man City are interested in Declan Rice. United are interested in Declan Rice. Man City, West Ham have said not selling him at any price. Declan Rice. Declan Rice. Declan Rice. He ain't available at any price. Never do that again. Beans. But, yeah, so, look. I think Declan Rice would be a good signing for United. I think he fits into that category of loads of potential, young player, and would come to United as a step up and see it, be very hungry for it. So, but, this is the problem with the Premier League now. There's so much money in it that you cannot bully Crystal Palace or West Ham anymore. And some people would say that's the great thing about football. As a United fan, it doesn't help us because if Crystal Palace 10, 20 years ago would be a club that had money problems. And you'd go, we want Wan-Bissaka and we ain't going to pay you that much for it. But nowadays, they're loaded. West Ham are loaded. There's so much money in the Premier League that clubs are loaded. And they don't need to sell these players. And if they are going to sell them, they're going to sell them for top dollar. And I think, if you want to sign Declan Rice, the bidding probably starts at 60 million. Is he a £60 million player having played one season in the Premier League? No, of course he's not. But West Ham don't need the money. He's on a long-term contract, and that's how it works. What else? Lukaku for Skriniar. This is interesting because Lukaku wants to go to Inter Milan, and United have got to work out a deal there. Personally, I think I would take Icardi. I've said this before. The money would come in handy. If we could get Skriniar, it would be unbelievable. And, that would negate needing to get involved in the Koulibaly deal because I like Skriniar, but I can't see that. I can't see that happening. I really, really can't see that happening. Declan Rice, Bruno Fernandes, De Gea to stay because PSG are looking at Donnarumma. I do think De Gea is going to stay. I really do think he's going to stay. And I do. I think he will stay at Manchester United. You know what came into my head yesterday? What if Ander Herrera stays at United? I know he's technically left, but he hasn't signed a contract with anybody else. What if he, Mata's staying now, De Gea stays now, my theory, and Herrera goes, I'll stay then. Would you have Herrera back now, or do you think that ship sailed? You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, it's not going to happen. But when I thought about it yesterday, I actually thought, no, I wouldn't take Herrera back now. I think you've got to move on from that. He never should have been allowed to go. He's better than most of our midfielders, but I wouldn't actually take him back now because I think we do need to move on. And I would be looking at Tielemans, Ndombele, Rabiot, Thomas Partey, people like that. But yes, hopefully we're gonna be in a position where we get this Wan-Bissaka deal done. Then we can move on to the centre backs and the midfielders. But let's move away from the negativity of the Mata deal. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, you're like me. I need to move away from that and look at positivity. There's still plenty of time left in the transfer window. Talking of which, link in the video description, Football Index. It's the football stock market game where you can buy shares in real life players. Remember, you've got to be over 18 and please do gamble responsibly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka there, just to show you how prices go up so prices on players go up based on performance on the pitch or newsworthy stories. Newsworthy stories in the summer are obviously plentiful in relation to transfers. Look at Wan-Bissaka over the last month. He's gone from around £2 a share up to £2.30 a share. Look at him over the last 6 months. He's gone from like 50 pence a share up to £2.30 a share. So the graph is rising and rising. He would be a good player to buy some shares in at the moment. And if you click on his name as well, you can see people who are looking at transfers. People like Mason Mount, Ryan Sessegnon, Yuri Tielemans is another one. Graph moving up over the last 6 months. Massive again. Very similar to Wan-Bissaka. So what I would do is if you're going to have a go at this, if you like FIFA Ultimate Team or Fantasy Premier League, I would go in there with about 20 quid to start off with. And if you want to go with more, do. So that you can buy a number of shares in players. So if you bought Aaron Wan-Bissaka at £2.30 a share, you buy yourself 23 quid's worth. If he goes up to, say, £2.50 a share, you've made yourself 20p on each of those 10 shares, which is a couple of quid for nothing. There are a lot of forums and things like that. This is my portfolio at the moment. I'm currently £300 in profit. I was 350, but I am sort of hemorrhaging a little money with a few players that I need to offload. I've got 193 shares in Bruno Fernandes, which is why, and I'm going to keep them because as soon as he moves, I'm going to sell him. But at the moment, I've got a lot of players. Koulibaly could do with him bloody moving. Really could do with him moving. Steven Bergwijn, Angel Gomez, Icardi, and Ndombele. So I've retained a few players that I think are going to end up moving. But the link's in the video description for that. Football Index. Give it a go if you like that sort of thing. You've got to be over 18 and please do gamble responsibly. Thanks everybody for watching. Please do subscribe if you're new and drop a like. And obviously we will go live today if there's any news. I went live at 3 o'clock yesterday for the Wan-Bissaka and Max Aaron's thing. 8 o'clock tonight as well, of course. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.